OneX Developer Podcast.
One X generation. One X movement. The One X manifesto. Yeah, I hate how like the word manifesto has been kind of like, kind of has some like baggage with it now.
You can't write like just a norm manifesto anymore.
Well, I mean the Agile manifesto.
That's true. That's a really good one.
That's like the one exception I can think of.
Yeah. Is that meant to be I don't know. It's still I think the implication there though is that it's revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get like demonetized for saying manifesto?
I don't know. Maybe.
You could say manifesto, right? I mean,
do we make money from doing this?
Oh yeah. None of our videos are monetized. I forgot.
Was it you who was telling me the one about like you can't swear in the first 3 minutes of a YouTube video, but after that you can?
I think they actually just changed that. Oh. I was watching a video where they were cussing in the beginning of the video and they're like, yeah, we can do this now. They changed it. I don't know.
I don't even know. Because like, I don't even know how people find out about those rules, right? Because Google doesn't announce it. They don't just like tell you.
Well, when they first did that, I think they did announce it. Because that was going to like screw people, Like if you can't monetize your videos and your videos are where you review cuss words, I don't
know. Tier list.
Maybe actually, now that I think about it, maybe they didn't announce it and people just figured it out somehow. But
that's kind of what I thought. I thought people, just kind of like figured it out based on. I kind of assumed they're like YouTuber back channels where they talk to each other about what's going on, and they all noticed like,
right?
Isn't it weird that when we swear in the first 3 minutes, like the views drop off and the algorithm just destroys us?
Well, apparently YouTube has revealed at least what words will get you demonetized. Words like damn, dang, shoot, and hell are totally safe.
Dang.
But I heard there was an update to this recently.
We got to get invited to YouTuber parties, Colin. How do we find out where the YouTubers gather and discuss YouTube related things?
I think it's all in the West Coast. Pretty sure all the YouTubers they all live in California.
Dang. Shoot.
But what, do you want to live in one of those like creator houses?
Maybe, if that's what it takes.
I don't. I just don't. I don't live in my own home.
Yeah, I kind of like my house actually.
All right, so what are we talking about today, Brendan?
We're talking about, I don't even know if you remember this, but some episodes back, you made kind of an offhand comment where you said, I don't think LLMs are the path to AGI. Not that humanity will never reach AGI, but you said LLMs are like not the path there. I think you were kind of saying that like you think there's a ceiling to LLMs. And that thought has kind of been rattling around in my brain for the last few months. And I've been like, that's really interesting. I don't know what other approaches to AI there are apart from LLMs. And so I did a little bit of research this week.
I cannot be held accountable for any of the things I say on this podcast. I do remember saying that, though.
I thought it was really, really interesting. And, so standard disclaimer, this is the 1X Developer Podcast. I did about 3 hours of research on this. This is not going to be a deep dive. It's just going to be a chat about some things I learned this week.
So before we get into it, I want to say, like, there is a lot of AI out there other than LLMs, or at least people use the term AI to describe other things besides LLMs. And that's why I try to use the phrase LLM a lot, right? When that's what I'm talking about, because I feel like it's worth being clear about.
Yeah.
But something I was thinking about is, like, when we were talking about doing this episode, is like, in the world of game dev, AI is used just to describe basically anything that an enemy or a non-playable character does, right? Like, enemy AI is the Pac-Man ghost just moving around randomly,
Right.
and or them coming towards you when you eat the big or whatever, like, or running away from you when you eat the thing, whatever, like, that's considered enemy AI in the world of game dev. And it's crazy because some games have incredibly advanced AI. There's this game I played called Fear, FEAR. Really, really fantastic game. I played on Xbox 360, and there's, like, a lot of people still talk about the AI system in this game online because it was just incredibly good. Like, I remember I saw this YouTube video. I'll have to find it and put it in the show notes. Like, there was a YouTube video I saw a while back where this guy was breaking down how it worked, and, like, basically every enemy had, like, a whole decision tree of, like, actions, possible actions they could take, and they would, like, weigh which one they wanted to do. And it was crazy. Like, enemies would, like, go prone and, like, crawl under things to, like, surprise you. Like, one enemy would distract you while another one came around. And this was all dynamic. Like, it wasn't scripted events. I mean, there were some scripted events, but they could, like, dive through windows and stuff, and they would do, like, you could play through the same game multiple times, and they would do all kinds of different crazy things. And
that sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, well, and so the game's called Fear, right? Because it's supposed to be like a scary game. And I remember it being that kind of added to the what was scary about the game, because it's like you'd be playing and it wouldn't feel like you were playing a single player game. Like, it would feel like you're playing against other people, right? Like, it's kind of freaky what they would do. And I don't know, all of that gets bundled in to the AI discussion. Another tangent I'm going to go on real quick. I remember, for a while, people were pushing the term machine learning, ML, because they were trying to kind of distance themselves from the term AI, because I don't remember where I heard this, but, like, apparently, like, Hollywood had kind of destroyed the term AI, so they started saying machine learning at least in, like, I feel like nowadays when you hear machine learning, you think more like statistical things, right?
Yeah.
Like finance stuff, and people still use that term a little bit, but it's, I guess we swung back around to AI again, and
what do you mean
I
by
feel like
Hollywood destroyed it?
Well, like, if you heard AI, people would just think like Terminator, right, or something like that. Like, they would think about, like, life, like what people now call general artificial intelligence, or AGI, right? Like, people would associate AI with AGI, right? So people would say machine learning to say, like, no, this is just, like, it's a thing that we trained to make specific decisions about specific things. It's not data from Star Trek, right?
Right. Okay.
So I guess not that Hollywood destroyed it, but people were just, it became very unclear what the phrase AI meant, right? So they started using machine learning.
I would argue it's still quite unclear what the term AI means.
It is. Honestly, and that's what I mean. I don't know why we started just saying that again.
Yeah. Well, so actually, that's an interesting. When I was doing research this week, I came across these terms: AI summer and AI winter. Do you know these?
Yes, I've heard this.
Okay. Yeah, I'd heard these before too, but I really had no idea what they meant. But basically, we've kind of gone through these. The short version is that we've gone through at least two of these, like, hype cycles, I guess you could say. Like, people were really, really excited about the possibilities of AI, and then after a while, they're kind of like, wait, this isn't really panning out like we thought it would. And we've kind of gone through 2 of those. And like, obviously now we're in kind of maybe another summer where we're like big on AI. AI is going to solve all our problems, right?
I feel like maybe I read once that that's also why people started using phrases like machine learning, because they were in an AI winter and they didn't want to look stupid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that AI, not so much. I don't know about the Hollywood part, but yeah, I do feel like AI kind of, it got a bad reputation. It kind of had a, I don't know. It seemed kind of outdated there for a minute. It was like, that's old. Like we don't do AI anymore. And it's not that nobody was working on it and stuff like that, but I think it kind of had some like negative connotations.
So wait, there were 2 AI summers?
Yes. Um, the first one was like, well, let me pull up the article here, but the first one was like in the 50s, and then I think the next one was maybe in the 70s.
Dang, dude. Before freaking C was invented, there was an AI revolution.
Let's see, history. Yeah, it does. Even Wikipedia calls them hype cycles. But let's see. So this lists the major winters as 74 to 80 and 87 to 2000.
Okay.
And both the winters I think were preceded by summers.
There's never like a AI fall.
No, nobody ever feels, nobody's ever on the fence about AI. We're just like
Yeah, yeah.
whole hog or no, was a waste of time.
Yeah. Um so okay, so wait, so what were those time ranges again? 80 something?
Let's see. This says 2 major AI winners approximately 74 to 80 and 87 to 2000.
Okay. So there was just like a window in the 80s where AI was hot again.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wonder what happened there.
Um, Hold on. Symbolic artificial intelligence. I think this is the article I was reading. Okay, so this is the Wikipedia article on symbolic artificial intelligence. It says the first AI summer, irrational exuberance, 1948 to 66. Right? So these are like, this is early research into AI. And people are like, oh my God, there's like some real potential here. It's going. And then the first AI winter, this
Well, so
this
at that point though, weren't we like still figuring out what we could do with computers? This is like right after World War II, right?
Yep. Yep. So yeah, this is like early kind of logic stuff. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff listed here about what went on in this summer, but um, I'm guessing that some of this stuff wasn't even necessarily like computer based, right? Maybe some of this stuff was AI that wasn't even.
Well, see, I'm wondering like because people sometimes people joke like what is AI, right? Like an if statement is AI, right? I mean, it's any conditional anything that leads a computer, any function that takes an input and gives you an output is like artificial and intelligent, right? Like, so I wonder if that's kind of more what was going on at that time, was just like people just excited about computers, really.
Right. This links to articles about logic programming. It talks about the A star algorithm, that one for like pathfinding through a maze and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. That's like a, I think you
Okay,
say A
yeah,
star, but I mean it's just an algorithm. By today's standards, I don't think anyone would consider that AI. It's just a series of steps that you
yeah,
can use to solve a maze.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the most interesting things about AI, to be honest, is the way that the goalposts kind of like shift constantly, right? if if any of
Yeah,
these researchers we're talking about in 1948 were to see an LLM model, they would be like, "Oh, you guys did it. That's intelligent. There's no question about it." But when we sit here and we've seen we've seen it in action. We've seen some of its flaws. We look at it and we're like, yeah, it's okay, but I think we can do better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could spend multiple episodes talking about like what is AI and what counts and what is. Uh, so okay, I just looked this up. I think so. The Deep Blue chess computer was in uh, the mid '80s, so I think that's probably what that summer was.
Yeah.
At least part of it was that.
So yeah, this article says second AI summer was 78 to 87. So yeah, basically early 80s. And it talks about success with expert systems, which is one of the other AI approaches I was going to talk about. But I mean, expert systems are more or less if statements, like you were talking about. It's just like, it's just a whole bunch of like, if this, then that. And these are like the rules for the expert. You're like trying to mimic an expert in a field to deduce knowledge from a set of facts, basically.
So the Deep Blue chess computer, the actual game was in '96, actually, but the development happened in '85. Started in '85. Whatever, I don't know. Tell me more. I feel like you were like going somewhere with this, and I just derailed you.
No, I was kind of building off. I had heard these terms AI summer, AI winter before, but I really didn't know much more than just that. I had heard the terms, and that was about it. So, well, let me go back to video games for a second, because I do think it's really interesting in the context of video games. I don't think you need to like. I don't think there's ever a need there to differentiate between like AI that might lead to AGI or something like that, and like AI. All you're looking for is exactly what you're describing in Fear, right? You're looking for an enemy that seems to act somewhat unpredictably and somewhat have their own intelligence and state of mind in order to make the game fun and interesting. It's like that's the only thing that matters, and that's why it's kind of I think most gamers are probably just fine with calling it enemy AI.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it doesn't even really have to include that either, right? Like, there are games where the enemy AI is completely predictable, and people still call it AI, and that's like a feature of the game in a way, right? Like World of Warcraft is all about manipulating when an enemy is attacking you or attacking someone else, right? That's like how the whole game works. And I guess it's not totally predictable, but there are ways to control it, and that's like if the enemies just acted randomly, that would like the game wouldn't even work, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't think it even really like enemy AI doesn't even really need to be unpredictable to be like effective in a video game sense.
Is World of Warcraft like a strategy one? I've never played it.
I mean it's a tab targeting RPG. So it's like action based. Like you have abilities that you use right to attack enemies and stuff, but it is strategy is like a big part of it. I wouldn't call it a strategy game like in the traditional sense, but I mean in the overworld, the main thing is like if you get too close to an enemy that's hostile, they'll attack you. And so like if you're outside that range, they will not attack you. And I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that, like depending on your level and stuff. But in group content, um, generally the first person to enter that range or attack the enemy will be targeted by the enemy. But then, based on like damage that you're dealing and like other factors, can increase the aggression, the aggro of the enemy. And so the idea when you're doing group content is that there's one designated person that's supposed to be getting attacked because they have a shield and big armor and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like the whole game basically is the tank trying to hold aggro is what they call it. And then the healer healing that person while the other guys do damage to the enemy. That's like the whole game basically.
This is what they were all trying to plan out when the guy screamed Leroy Jenkins, right?
Yeah. I mean, they would have already had designated tanks and stuff, but actually, yeah, that's a good way to explain it, I think, because he runs in there and they all target him, and then at that point, the whole system has fallen apart because everyone's running around, everybody's got aggro, like people are flagging other enemies as they call it, like, and it's just fallen apart.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, though. I mean, yeah, predictability is like, I mean, this part of what makes games fun in a way. It, I guess, depends on the game, but sometimes that's like part of the game is learning the enemy's movements, and they do have to be predictable in a certain sense for it to be fun.
Like, I don't know if this would really be called enemy AI, but like, even if an enemy's behavior is completely scripted, I feel like that's could be called enemy AI. That might be that's kind of a misnomer at that point, but like if you're playing Super Mario Brothers and you know that there's a dude that comes flying at this point in the level, like that's still kind of enemy AI
So one of the
in a
only
way.
games that I really play is Zelda these days, right? And a big part of modern Zelda games is, especially in like boss battles, is the way, like the pattern to how he moves. He does
Right.
this attack twice, and then he jumps, and then does the rock fall, and like that's when you can attack, and you have to like watch for a while and figure out the movements, and like
Yeah.
if they weren't predictable, it wouldn't be fun like that.
Yeah.
Is that the episode?
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Okay.
Well, what else do we? Yeah, I want to know what else you got.
So let's talk real quick about like what I think it's worth talking about what makes LLMs, right? So in order for something to be an LLM, I think a decent definition is that they're based on massive static training data and next token prediction, right? So
Yeah.
we're talking here about things that are trained on massive data sets and are basically just like predicting the next token, the most likely next token in a series of words.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
So why are those bad, Colin? So you got your hallucinations. It just makes stuff up.
Yeah.
I got into this this topic of symbol grounding, which is like part of the reason that LLMs tend to hallucinate is that they don't have any connection between the words that they're spewing out and like any concept of reality. And this is a
Right.
big like debate among AI researchers apparently, is like they think that there's probably better models that we can come up with that have at least some sense of like the connection between these abstract concepts that they're generating words for and the physical reality that they correspond to.
So symbol grounding is the concept of basically them understanding what these words relate to.
Yeah, it's a connection between the symbol, in this case, I guess the word or the
The
token,
word. Yeah.
and real world concepts or objects, concrete things in the real world.
Yeah. See, and I think this is the core. Like, the core, I think, of what I was saying about LLMs not leading to AGI. I think that's like the main point of my argument with that is because they don't have that at all.
Right. And I think that's really interesting. No matter how much training data you give it, no matter how much, no matter how big they get, they're never going to have that. It's like an inherent property of the system, right?
Yeah. See, and I always wonder, like, okay, even if you did invent like an AGI in your computer, right? Like something that can truly understand what words mean. I wonder, like, how would that even work? Like, okay, so it has the capability of understanding what a dog is, but it lives in a computer, right? So, like, I don't know if it. I can describe a dog. I feel like at that point, it's like describing a color to a person who's never seen, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Maybe they can associate words with it. They can associate it kind of to things that they do know, but like, they're never going to know what dog is in the way that a human who has pet a dog knows what a dog is, you know?
Okay, so let's get into that one. I think that's a good one. One of the alternative approaches is what they call embodied AI, which is like more or less putting uh, putting some of these AI capabilities inside a robot so that they do have a physical body.
Oh, okay.
Um, there are people out there who argue that that having a physical body is like uh, it's part and parcel of being human, right? It's how the way that our minds work are very, very connected to us having a physical body, learning things
Yeah.
through trial and error, learning what a dog is by petting a dog. Maybe you pet a dog too hard and get bit by a dog. Like all of that is part of how we form our mental model of the world. And they think that putting some of these AI technologies inside robot bodies will like solve some of those problems.
That makes sense to me. That like, yeah, a computer with a camera might know more than a computer that doesn't have a camera.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, with more stimulus, yeah, that tracks to me.
I thought that was really interesting to think about because like for some reason I think that just just the evolution of AI, it always seems like people want to make robots, right? We always want to just put it in a robot. But there's
Yeah.
actually some philosophical underpinnings to like why we might want to do that and why that might help us get closer to something that resembles our own minds.
Wait, philosophical
Well, just the
reasons?
idea that
Or,
um, just the idea that like that's it's deeply connected to how our minds work and how we learn. um I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that wasn't immediately obvious to me. Like I always kind of think about putting an some intelligence inside a robot as just like, oh, that'd be cool and it can like play soccer
yeah.
and whatever. But like
Yeah.
um but the idea that that's like really how we learn and how our minds work and how um that's like really essential to an essential part to forming a mental model of the world. I keep saying, but like um, that's a big part of how we do things and how we think about things. Um, that's what I mean by philosophical.
Yeah. That is interesting. Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, like the fact that we like experience pain and pleasure physically, like the fact that there's this, like we're basically born with this feedback loop, right? Like
Right?
touching this hot stove hurts me, so I learn to not do it. Like, and that's purely a physical. I mean, that's really just physical knowledge, but still, yeah, it's it's informed by my physical body.
Yeah. I, fascinating.
Can you have one without the other? Who knows?
I think. Yeah. I mean, I think that's entirely theoretical, right?
I mean, you can have a body without the mind, right?
A, a body that doesn't
That's.
move or anything.
I mean, like trees. You can have organic matter that doesn't have thoughts.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. What
So
about
that
a
way it works.
human?
But the other way, yeah, the other way around, I don't know. I don't know if that's ever happened. A mind with no body at all.
But I think that, in the same way that I think there's an argument there that plants and even animals are like a lower form of mind than human beings, right? No offense to dogs and stuff. I, I mean, I
Yeah,
love dogs, but I think it's like, I think there's an argument that they are of a different kind of mind, a different degree.
yeah. I mean, animals for sure. I feel like plants. I'm sure there is an argument to be made, but my intuition is that plants are like, they don't have brains, so they don't have thoughts like we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you
So,
been watching Alien Earth?
no, I haven't. Is it good?
Uh, it's good, and it gets into some of these things. I won't spoil anything, but artificial intelligence is a big part of it.
Remind me, was Ridley Scott involved in this one?
I don't think directly. Maybe like for concepts and stuff, but it's written and directed by other people.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I did want to look at that one.
But Ridley Scott does have another show that I think got canceled. I don't know if they're going to do any more of it, called Raised by Wolves.
Never heard of
I
it.
haven't heard like anybody else talk about this, but it's directed by Ridley Scott. I think written by Ridley Scott, and it also has to do with androids and AI, and it's cool.
What was it on? You know?
I think it was on HBO.
Weird. Ridley Scott had an HBO show.
Dude, Ridley Scott he's like constantly doing stuff. It's crazy how active he is. Oh, the first 2 episodes were directed by Ridley Scott. But I think created by someone else. Okay, he was involved in it somehow. And it feels very Ridley Scott, like the Android stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it was written by Aaron Guzikowski.
Oh, the goose.
Are you just saying that, or do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
You said that very convincingly. Oh, yeah, the goose, you know.
So, here's how. One of the really interesting things about this embodied AI idea is how we're going to go about putting brains into robots, right? And there's this whole thing about neuromorphic technology on the hardware side, which is it basically is like these tiny power constrained devices that do a lot of processing at the source, like where the sensory data is received. And this thing that I was reading says some people see them as an alternative to CPUs and GPUs. And so it's like a third kind of processing. And they could be much more suited to like wearables and that kind of stuff than trying to cram an LLM onto a watch or whatever.
But this is just like a theoretical concept. Like, what are they called again?
Neuromorphic.
Neuromorphic.
That's a good question. I don't know if if any of these are operating in the real world right now.
Physical artificial neurons.
And that was part of it, is that they're supposed to be like much more energy efficient because they kind of operate, like neurons in the brain where they only fire as needed basically, and not they're more like real time instead of, the training phase and then like the prompt.
This stuff, like when we start getting into this stuff of like, really creating an artificial brain, I start to wonder, like, do we even know how to do, like, we don't even really know how brains work, right? I mean, I'm speaking way above my pay grade right now, but like, do we know how neurons work to an extent where we could like make them?
I don't know.
And control them? Like, I don't know. I feel like I feel like we're dipping our toes into like sci-fi more than like real, or like the very edge of like theoretical computing.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's always theoretical until you do it, right? I mean, I think everything we're talking about here has promise. I'll say that. Like I don't think any of these things are just like totally off the wall concepts by like one guy out in the woods or something. I mean, I think these are all things that have been researched, and people have, ideas that seem plausible. We just haven't been able to get there yet, that kind of thing. I don't know if we can emulate a brain today. Like, I don't know if we have the knowledge about how neurons work. I have no idea.
I don't know, man. Now I'm reading about SNN Torch. It's a Python library for spiking neuron. It's a spiking neuron library in Python. People are doing this.
That
The
concept
future is
came up.
now.
What is spiking neuron? That concept came up when I was reading. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of words I'm seeing here that I don't know what are. Spiking neural networks, I keep wanting to say SNNs, are artificial neural networks that mimic natural neural networks. These models leverage timing of discrete spikes as the main information carrier. So, I mean, you can just install this Python library right now and make a brain. Right. Okay.
Outstanding. Let's do it. Next episode, we'll have a brain. No,
Yeah,
man, that would be
next episode we'll have a third host.
I mean, how fun would that be to get into? That sounds like it would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to like learn all this on the fly, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot here. But yeah, this is crazy, dude. I mean, yeah, I get the feeling that SNN, Torch, and stuff like that are still, not theoretical, but like exploratory type of things. You know, I don't know if people are really building like working things.
Yeah.
At least not like complicated ones.
Try to scoop the thing over here. Let's do that. Okay, so one of the other let's go back for a minute to like some of the downsides of LLMs. I don't know that this one is so much solved in a direct way by the embodied stuff as the hallucinations like we were talking about. But one of the other things that people frequently cite as being downside of LLMs is this concept that I heard called superhuman banality, which is like this idea that the predicting the most probable next word always results in this kind of like unoriginal, predictable, devoid of human insight, right? It's always going to be kind of boring, and it's always going to lack this creative spark. And like, there are people out there who think that it'll never really be artificial intelligence or AGI or however you want to draw that line until it can do things that a human can do, which is to say, synthesize unique, creative new thoughts. And LLMs just seems like kind of another inherent limitation of the system.
Yeah, I've seen this thing going around where people are sharing like an infographic of what the sources are for. I don't know if it's like all LLMs or if it's like a specific one, but by far the number one source for the training data is Reddit. And so people are like sharing this, saying like, "Yeah, you guys are just talking to a Redditor," you know. But I feel like what you're talking about is basically, I mean, that's why people have kind of discovered that there are these sort of LLM isms, right? Like the M dash and the let's delve into this. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There are these phrases that it seems to really like, because I guess those are just the common, or at least its model believes those sets of words to be very sensible.
Right. Yeah, and it just keeps going back to them over and over and over.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that term LLM-ism, but yeah, that's exactly right. They're like, I don't know, they're like telltale signs of an LLM.
Yeah, I don't know what people are calling them, but there's certain like things that are. I feel like most of them are like things that I would use in high school when I was writing an English essay. Like I would use M dashes all the time because English teachers just lost it over an M dash. If you use a good M dash, I saw someone was saying that LLMs will often they do like however comma, like they do that type of combining thing, however comma or furthermore comma. That's straight up out of a Colin McDonald essay right there. Like that's a classic.
Instant A.
Yeah. Also, the what do they call those? Oxford something where it's like thing one comma thing two comma and thing three.
Yeah, the
That's another
Oxford
one.
comma.
Yeah, the Oxford comma. Yes, uh, that's another one. I use those all the time. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a person.
Yeah. Are you an embodied AI? Perhaps.
Dang it!
Wouldn't that be weird if you like just realize one day that all the evidence points to you being an embodied AI? Just an AI with a body that somebody programmed.
Yeah, like Blade Runner.
Yeah. Like, damn.
Just the Ridley Scott episode.
Yeah. Thought I had a good idea there, but it turns out I just stole it. So I came across this concept called symbolic AI, this is kind of a funny term that I had never heard before. GOFAI stands for good old fashioned AI.
Okay, what's that?
So this symbolic AI is an approach that predates LLMs, operates with symbols, rules, and logic, and this is like I think this is the one that resulted in the expert systems. So this is basically a big list of rules, right? You just create this list of rules about a topic, and then you have this. I think this is just yeah. So symbolic AI is kind of the larger umbrella term, but it resulted, the practical applications were these expert systems, which tried to emulate experts in a specific field, like especially in the medical field or something like that. There's not enough doctors, so we can get the expert system to make the same decision that the doctor would. But basically, yeah, you have a set of rules and facts that somebody meticulously programmed, and then you have this inference engine which applies the rules and tries to deduce new facts from those facts. It's able to recognize patterns and stuff like that. And so that's kind of like, I mean, I think that falls very much into what we were talking about with moving the goalposts. Like, I don't know that many people these days would even consider that AI. It's just like a bunch of if statements, man.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when you were describing it.
But that was a big approach to AI for a while. And I think one of the things that led to this AI winter was that, like, a lot of people felt like for a while, if we just make these systems complex enough, if we feed it enough facts, eventually we'll get to a point where they can like actually think on their own, and that thinking will be essentially indistinguishable from the way that humans think, which I think is a really, really interesting parallel to LLMs today, right? There's people out there who are saying, if we just make the training sets big enough, if we just give it more and more and more data, eventually we'll get to a point where they think and act like a person. You won't be able to tell the difference.
Well, I really, personally, I don't think so. Like, I feel like they talk about how big the training data is for LLMs already, and it's like, for me, it feels like there must be a point of diminishing returns, right? Like,
yeah,
how much more natural language can we throw at something? Like, it seems like any more developments would have to be either like refining the training data, or improving the models, or the real AI engineering stuff that is people who are way smarter than me can figure out. But another thought I had there, you were talking about. So I saw this online recently. Somebody was saying that hallucinations are like a feature and not a bug, actually. Because what he was saying, his argument was that, like, if AI tools didn't hallucinate at all, you would really just have like just a fact regurgitator tool. You know what I mean? Like, if you want something to create new sentences and like new things, it has to be like, I mean, it has to say things that haven't been said before, right? Like it has to say
Right.
things that, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to allow itself to be wrong, I guess, but it has to be able to like put itself out there, I guess, is what I don't know if that makes sense. I don't even remember where I read this, but it made a lot of, the guy who said it made it sound a lot better than that.
It has to risk being wrong in a way, right? In order to do something new and untested, you have to. There's always the potential that it'll be incorrect.
I think that's it. I mean, definitely, it definitely feels like LLMs can be better about determining when they're wrong, because the most annoying thing is when you're chatting with Claude and you're like, hey, that's actually like completely wrong. And it's like, you're absolutely right. It's like, well, can you just like ask yourself if you know what you're talking about before you confidently tell me, or even just don't be confident, Can you even just say like, hey, maybe not. Hey, I think maybe it's this.
Well, I think that's exactly. So a lot of people, I feel like, think that human beings do exactly what you're talking about there, right? They say things that are incorrect and they do that. But I think we rely exactly on that. Humans don't confidently state this is true um, when they're making a statement that they are not sure about.
Yeah,
I
a
think that's a
trustworthy
big
person
difference.
will qualify their level of confidence.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So far with the things we've talked about, do you feel like any of the approaches that involve agentic AI will be able to overcome this? Like the thing about asking the AI asking itself if it's wrong, that one starts to feel lately like it could be overcome with some of the agentic stuff. Like there's, one agent who's over here checking and asking the AI constantly, hey, are you sure about this?
Yeah.
And there's
Well,
like one
yeah,
guy generating the thing and another guy asking, you sure about that?
yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, or like a QA agent that just like, anything that doesn't pass the smell test, it'll go back to it, to the,
Yeah.
the other agent. I haven't messed with the agentic stuff at all, uh, but it sounds really interesting.
I haven't really either. We've been using Claude Code at work, and I think that maybe does some behind the scenes, but I haven't done it explicitly.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to improve the the hallucination situation that people are going to figure out.
Yeah. For some reason, I feel like the agentic stuff is promising. I don't know. I don't know that it will necessarily overcome any of these inherent limitations, but I do think that's a path to improvement. Um, let's talk real quick about cognitive architectures. These are attempts to emulate the human mind and basically, so this is the idea that like the human mind has distinct subsystems that operate in different ways. So different components for vision, for memory,
Hmm.
um, and basically it can learn. So I said it can learn in two ways: structurally by seeing like sample solutions, or statistically updating how useful these actions seem. And all of these components are kind of like integrated, and that's what makes it one mind.
Mhm. So
So
what is cognitive architecture, or in terms of like AI?
I think that's just I guess it's just the idea of having the separate systems. Like it's not the idea that
Oh, okay.
it's not just an LLM and it's not just embodied AI using the neuromorphic chips. It's like you're using distinct approaches for these separate systems, and they actually behave differently and learn differently and all this stuff, and they communicate somehow. Um, but it's not just one thing.
Well, I think that's definitely like, I mean, that's kind of how I assume ChatGPT to work. Like if you upload a photo to ChatGPT and tell it to edit it, it'll use its like image model stuff, right? And then if you chat with it, it'll use its LLM stuff, right? So I feel like that's kind of a form of that, right? Like they're, I don't know, like deeply how those things work, but like they're different models, right? So I feel like that's sort of what you're talking about, right?
Are they not all LLM based? I thought even the image stuff was LLM though, right?
I mean, I think like the core principles might be the same, but I mean, it's like it's not, when you're generating an image, it's not estimating another word, right? It's the way it's been explained to me is that it's like basically it generates a bunch of noise and then it goes through and like removes pixels that don't make sense, right? Or like adjust things, and it does that over and over again. I feel like I'm probably screwing this up really bad. Someone's gonna think I'm stupid, but I mean, an image is different from language, right? Like
Yeah.
they work differently to some extent, right?
I've always been a little confused about the connection, about why we've made so much progress with image generation and music generation and audio synthesis and stuff like that. Um, I always thought all of that stuff was based on LLMs, um, not not necessarily word prediction. Okay, so maybe this is a good thing. One of the things I came across in this research was this idea of sub-symbolic AI. That's what LLMs are. Like, they're not necessarily operating at the level of the word. They're operating at the level of tokens, which are not necessarily the same as words, right? So I think that somehow relates to the image generation. It's not always predicting the next word. Sometimes it's predicting the color of the next pixel.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess that wouldn't be exactly what you're describing, right? Like the idea of this cognitive architecture is more like each component is like fundamentally different.
I think so, yeah. So yeah, the vision system would be totally different than the memory system and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But that's also somewhat similar to this approach that seems to be like, this one actually seems to have a lot of momentum right now. And it's basically the idea of combining LLMs with other approaches, right? So this is kind of an alternative, maybe like you were saying, as we kind of get hit diminishing returns as we throw more and more training data at it. Some people think the path forward from here is to take the LLMs and have those be one part of the system, and then have something else for this other part. And one of the things I read about was, have you ever read the book Thinking Fast and Slow?
No, I haven't read it.
I haven't read it either. Daniel Kahneman. Anyway.
Sorry. That's a little funny.
But one of the core concepts in the book is this system 1 and system 2 thinking, which I have heard before. It's kind of one of the core concepts in the book. So you have system 1 thinking, which is like fast, automatic, intuitive. You recognize a face, right? You don't think about it and try to recognize a face. You just do it instantly. Things you've done a million times, you just do it instantly. And then you have this system 2 thinking, which is slow and deliberate, and it's like good for analysis and problem solving. And that's like when you sit down and consciously think about something. Those are two different ways of thinking. And so neurosymbolic AI is an approach that involves LLMs for part of the thinking process, but not for the whole thing. Yeah.
I feel like I just wish I knew more about this so I could say more interesting things.
I do too. Like I said,
Because
I only looked into it a little bit, but all of this stuff makes me want to learn more about some of these other approaches. It's fascinating.
yeah, man, for sure. There's just so much to learn, so much going on. You think we're about to enter an AI winter?
I don't know about to, but I think that there will be an AI winter following the hype cycle that we're in for sure.
I mean, that's what the pattern suggests.
I don't think this period that we're in is going to last forever. You know,
Yeah.
there's just no way that, I don't know, the amount of money and also just the amount of progress that we've made in the last three years, really. Like, there's just no way that that continues on the same level.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people comparing it to like the .com bubble, where yeah, the bubble bursted, but then uh, it's kind of in between. Like a lot of these kind of frivolous .com ideas fell apart, but then from the ashes rose like all the huge websites that we love now.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and also some of the Web 2.0 stuff I feel like came out of that, like, you know,
Yeah.
web APIs and like the Flickr API and stuff like that. Some of those early REST-based APIs and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what's left over after the crash from the AI hype. I don't know what it's going to be, but I definitely think something like that will happen.
What's the next thing we're gonna hype up? That's what I want to know. Are we gonna go back to crypto?
um, Man, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I kind of think it's time for robots.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Some of
robotics.
this some of this stuff about embodied AI got me thinking more about robots, and like, robots have been, on the horizon for so long. Um, one of these articles I was reading was talking about robots playing soccer, and their goal was to have the robots beat human soccer champs by 2050. So, like, by the
These are
time we
like
have
autonomous robots.
these are robots that play soccer today. You've seen the they like walk
like
around the
like the
field.
Boston Dynamics stuff.
I was thinking more like the, what's his name, Massimo, the Japanese robot.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Um, Maybe Boston Dynamics does some too, though.
okay,
But yeah. I
yeah.
mean, those kind of robots.
The thing about like just off the cuff here, the thing about robotics to me is like I feel like it's always going to be expensive, right? Like there's a cost to the physical element, like that you don't have with internet based technologies.
Hmm. I don't know. I feel like with electronics, it's expensive until it's not. You know what I mean? I People
Yeah,
figure out how to make things smaller and cheaper, and that's just always the way it goes. At least, for the past few
yeah,
decades. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more affordable robots in the next 20 years.
yeah. I had a thought the other day. Whoever comes up with a drone that doesn't make that annoying sound, that guy's going to be rich. You know what I mean? Like
I know exactly
I
what
mean,
you
the
mean.
one
Yeah.
thing holding drones back is that when a drone flies, everyone goes, "Hey, someone flying a drone up there."
Yeah.
I feel
Um,
like this probably already exists. Actually, it's probably just really expensive.
yeah, no question the military is operating like
Yeah, the
very
military has
quiet
this.
drones, right? And so, like, the
Probably,
military
yeah.
technology will filter down into the consumer technology soon enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome to my podcast about my manifesto and the military drones that are undetectable.
we're on some list somewhere now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. I learned a lot of words today. I learned about SNN torch,
Yeah. You gonna download it?
and I feel like I have to learn like what I can. The thing I'm trying to figure out is like, what can I do with this? You know, what do I do with this? Do I just do like regular like big data stuff, or is this still kind of a research thing? Like, I don't know.
It's just Python. You just do from SNN import brain.
Yeah. Oh, there's tutorials. Okay. Spike encoding, the leaky integrate. I don't know. I don't know what any of these words mean. Surrogate gradient descent. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, it would be kind of hilarious if the README file for that was just like, grab your neuromorphic chip. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, this is reminding me of the machine learning class I took, where it's like, yeah, you can use all these algorithms to like predict the average of a line, or like, you know, the average line through a plot. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know. You know, I need to know what I can build like useful, you know,
yeah.
or like something that I can really see. Maybe I'm just not interested enough in messing with data. I don't know.
I think we've talked about this, but yeah, I had a very similar experience with a machine learning course in like 2014 or something, where I got to the end, I was like, that was neat, but I don't know what to do with it.
Okay, I'm looking at this tutorial, and there's like deltas and integrals, and yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry.
Brush up on your calculus just to use it.
Well, there's things that there's a lot, like I was saying, there's a lot of things to learn, and some of them I don't have to do that to learn. So,
Yeah.
okay, I had a fun idea for whose side are you on today. I think it's a fun idea. So, whose side are you on? Do you back into parking spaces, or do you just pull directly in?
This is the second time this week this has come up.
Really?
Yeah. 2 days ago, I had this conversation with someone. That's really weird. I pull into parking spots the normal way. I do not back into parking spots. Yeah. And I kind of, I'll be honest, I get kind of annoyed when someone takes forever backing into a spot, and it's just like, bro, just pull in. You're fine.
All right. So I'm going to tie this back into being a 1X developer. So, but I want to know, why do you think it is that you get annoyed when you see someone backing into a spot?
It's just because they're blocking my way. I feel like it takes them a lot of time to back into the spot, and I'm waiting to just go straight or look for another parking spot or whatever. They're blocking my path.
Do you get annoyed when someone is backing out of a space and they're taking too long?
No. That's a fair argument, Colin.
No. Okay. First of all, I pull straight in too. I mean, I have backed into spots where it was like, you know, that was like the only thing I could do, basically, like in a parking garage and the walls here. So I gotta, you know, like just the space was, you know, sometimes you kind of have to do that.
Sure. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. But yeah, generally I just pull directly in. And I think there is a difference there, right? Because if you're backing out of a spot, you could stop and the people can still go, right? You can let people go. But if you're backing into a spot, it's like everyone's stuck there until you're done, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it could go around you, but that seems weird and dangerous. So the reason why, so I've seen people argue about this online a lot, actually. And the thing that occurred to me is, I think one of the big reasons why people back into a spot is annoying, other than what you said, is just the fact that it's not what I expect you to do, right?
Yeah.
Like when someone's backing into a spot, they stop, and sometimes they use their turn signal, but then it's like, okay, your right turn signal's on, but then you're backing right. That's just, what are you doing? Like everything about it is just like, it's kind of not expected. And this is, I mean, this applies to just driving in general, right? You want to do what people expect you to do, right? It's when you're doing things that people aren't expecting that accidents happen, basically, right? Because you're not predictable.
Exactly.
And I think this ties into being a 1X developer in the sense that when it comes to like code readability, you want to follow that exact same principle, right? Like you can do fancy, cool stuff, and maybe it's even better, but like you really want to do what people are going to, you want people to understand your code and like do it in a way that is kind of predictable and makes sense to other people, right?
Yep.
So I think that's just something that occurred to me when I saw someone backing into a space at Walmart the other day, and I was mad.
100% agree.
Yeah. So here's the argument I heard. Someone said that you're more likely to get into an accident, or like, no, he was saying studies have shown that people are more aware after they've been driving than when they just jump into the car, right? So by backing in, you're more focused. Like it's better to be okay. This is like devil's advocate, right? Because like I said, I pull straight in, but like he was saying that when you first jump into the car, that's when you're more likely to get into an accident. So it's better that you just pull right out rather than trying to back out. Whereas backing in when you've already been driving and you're already aware of everything is safer. Saying this out loud, I feel like it's just so dumb. But
well, I'm going to need to see some like actual studies on that. I just find that really, really hard to believe that there's a significant difference.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even if it is true, like we're splitting hairs here, really, right? I mean,
yes.
And I mean, we're talking about backing up, right? We're not talking about like on the highway merging traffic, accidents with fatalities, right? I mean,
right.
We're talking about fender benders. Like, I don't know. As long as the main thing is everybody needs to be paying attention, I don't know.
The argument I heard was about, kids in parking lots, you're more likely to like see a kid basically run in front of your car if you're backing. The kid is less likely to be in the parking spot than they are like running down the middle of the aisle, I guess.
Right.
Again, I kind of feel like that's also splitting hairs.
Yeah, and I mean,
as absolutely play in parking spots.
Yeah, but also like as backup cameras become more and more common, this all becomes less and less of a thing, right? Like, if you've got a camera back there, you're going to see a kid either way.
Yep.
So.
No, I'm with you 100% on the predictability thing. That is a really big part of it for me. That's why I think that's why the difference, like backing into a parking spot is not what I expect, and someone driving straight out of a parking spot is not what I expect, except that driving straight out of a parking spot there are like no downsides to that. You know what I mean? Whereas somebody backing into a parking spot involves them stopping in the middle of the aisle, doing a weird kind of maneuver. Yeah. That's not what I'm expecting. That's not what I'm looking for at all. In both cases, you're not doing the normal thing, but it's only the backing into the parking spot that really like poses some kind of potential risk there, I think.
Yeah. So and that's kind of the thing, like, because even in this book, I've been reading the what's it called, Crafting Interpreters. He mentions in language design that he has kind of there's a little note in there where he mentions that like doing the things that people are used to generally is better, even if it's maybe not like truly the best, right? Like doing the thing that people are used to is just gonna, it's gonna make things more it's gonna help with adoption. It's gonna have less of a headache for people. Some conventions are stupid, but like, there's usually a reason that there's a convention.
Yeah. I think you should have a pretty good reason to break from convention. It should be a big and like, it should be a big and a fairly obvious reason, I think, in most cases. You should be able to explain it to someone easily. We're doing it differently. That convention's dumb, and we're going to do it differently. And everyone needs to come around to my way of thinking is basically what you're saying when you break
Right.
convention.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to do it my way. And like, if you can't explain to people why your way is better and what the advantages are, then maybe it's just better to go with convention in that case.
Yeah, it's got to be like significantly better. Here's one other thing. I really hate. I've seen people. Well, okay, I don't know if I've really seen people back into these spots, but I've seen people where it's like the slanted parking spots, right, where they're like angled, and you pull in. Like, those are clearly designed for you to pull directly into and then pull directly out of, right? Like, that's the whole point, right? When people pull all the way through to the other side, it's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that, right? Because now you're going the wrong way on the other side, right? Like,
right.
I see people do that a lot. I don't get that.
Right. Now when you pull out, you're going the wrong way on the street. I think that has to just be people driving through to the other side out of habit and not really thinking about it, right?
I think so.
About, when I leave the restaurant in 2 hours, I'm gonna like be going the wrong way. They just think like, I can pull through.
And I mean, it's, now that I think about it, it's mostly like most like pretty empty parking lots where it doesn't really matter, but still, it's just an odd thing to do.
Yeah, agreed. That is weird. And I will say also, Kansas City has slanted parking spots that you are supposed to back into also, which is kind of confusing.
Yeah, on the street. Yeah, yeah. And I always screw it up the first time.
I do too. I won't park in those if someone's watching me.
Yeah. If someone's behind me, I'm like, I don't know, dude, because I'm gonna mess it up, and then I'm holding up the whole damn street. It's a one-way street, and I gotta back up. Like, yeah, I hate that. Sometimes I get nervous when I parallel park too.
Oh, I'm terrible at parallel parking. That's the thing. I've never had to do parallel parking consistently. Like,
right.
I've done it here and there, but I've never like lived in a place where I had to do it on the street every day when I got home or anything like that.
Yeah.
I really wish I was better.
I feel like I'm pretty okay at it, but I still just, if there's someone behind me, it's like, I don't know, I can't do this.
That's one of those things too, though. Everyone's driving down the street and the person just like starts coming to a stop, and it's like, whoa, what are you doing? And you gotta like, oh, they're parallel parking. But first they had to just stop in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
No, I'm just being
a dude, man. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But yeah, I do also feel like this is kind of a Kansas City thing. I feel like people in big cities are like, yeah, grow up.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys have parking space, like parking lots that you can just park in for free?
That's 100% true. Yeah, this is, most people have no problem with it because they have to do it constantly because that's just the way it is.
That's one of the craziest things when I travel. It's like, oh, I have to pay $30 to leave my car somewhere. Wow.
Yeah, I know. We got a pretty good Colin.
Yeah, that and like the personal space stuff a little bit. You travel and you'll notice people shove a little bit. People don't line up. People don't just automatically form a line. People crowd around.
In the US?
Less in the. It's not as much of a problem in the US, but still, just, in other cities, people are just generally like pushier and ruder and more in a hurry outside the Midwest.
Yeah, that's true. For me, I feel like I've noticed in my life that that's more of a big city thing than it is like um, I just kind of feel like big cities that
Yeah.
I've been to around the world are more similar than like big, what am I trying to say? They all kind of act the same. It's like, I just feel like it's kind of out of necessity in a big city. You have to, I don't know, be a little more
Yeah.
assertive and when you're getting around, you just got to be all like, I'm going here.
Yeah, yeah. And really, they're not being mean. It's just that, like, where we come from, people are, like, overly nice.
Yeah. They got places to be. We don't.
We don't.
We just get there whenever.
Wait. Yeah, I guess.
I'm glad you brought up the parking thing. It's been on my mind for the last 2 days. That's really weird.
So who brought that up to you? Was it just like random? Or... Oh yeah, but just like out of nowhere, or like
he was having a conversation with his friend who is a backer-upper.
So I've seen it kind of recently on Twitter and stuff. It seems like there's been kind of a I don't know. I want to say resurgence, like an initial surgence, I guess, of this. Like, there's been a rise of this discussion.
Interesting.
I don't know. Since we're still talking about it, one other thing is like, if you're putting stuff in your trunk, why would you back into a spot?
That's a really solid point. Yeah.
At the grocery store, I'm not going to back into a spot. That's dumb.
I've always kind of wondered, what we were just saying about, a little bit of self-consciousness about backing into spots. I've always kind of wondered if I was better at it or if I had the car that did it automatically or whatever. Would I be more apt to back into it? Would I be less averse to the idea? I don't think I would, but maybe.
I don't know. I've also noticed that it's kind of a pickup truck thing to back into spots. And I wonder if that's...
But it is.
No, but I feel like maybe that's part of it because pickup truck guys have to back up for loading and stuff. You know what I mean? So maybe it's just that they're used to it. Like they're just used to driving backwards.
Right. They feel like they're very good at backing up and they can just nail it on the first try. And
well, they do it naturally, or even maybe. But I've driven a pickup truck regularly before, and I never felt like I had to back into a spot.
Yeah, I mean, that could be. I feel like there's a difference between, the work site and the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's necessary at the work site, so you do it, but I don't know. Yeah, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's just kind of automatic. Just habit. But
maybe there's something about maybe there's something about the shape of a truck, like since the bed kind of hangs out, that it's actually easier to go backwards, or it's harder to... I mean, it should all be equally the same either way, right? Because you're going to have to do the inverse of whatever you did getting in, right?
Exactly. You got to back up one direction. I don't know why backing up when you're leaving would be easier than backing up when you're going in.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I think that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
That was good.
Catch you guys
good
in the next
stuff.
one.
See ya.
1X Developer Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Colin. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the 1X Developer Podcast, and let you know that if you have any questions, comments, or if you just want to tell us about your day, you can reach us at X, formerly known as Twitter, at 1X Developer Podcast. We're also on YouTube at 1X Developer Podcast. You can email us if you're weird at 1xdeveloperpodcast@protonmail.com. And lastly, don't forget to follow, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't miss any further episodes of the 1X Developer Podcast. Thanks so much. See you next time.